Hey everyone, Elisa V here at the Mel Carmine Show, and we are so pleased and honored today to have our guest Lewis Herms on the show. As many of you know, 3 weeks ago today, we launched our documentary, Dear Mr. President, which is a movie about censorship. And it's also a call to action to restore the most essential human right, the freedom to speak, to share, and to be heard. And this documentary shines a light on the growing crisis of digital censorship, the silencing of voices across social media platforms, regardless of background, belief, or intention. So, Lewis Herms was one of our most esteemed podcasters and speakers of truth that was in the film. And if you are not familiar with Lewis, you definitely need to be because Lewis is the driving force behind transformative initiatives such as Screw Big Gov, Freedom in Action, the Truth Tour, Remember Your Oath, the Unity Tour, and the thought-provoking platform News, Views, and Conspiracies, not to mention his incredible truth documentaries and his latest initiative, Herms for Cali, in the run for governor of California. Welcome, Lewis.
Great to be here. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. And I know you've been quite busy lately on so many fronts with so many of your initiatives, um, with your campaign, and then, of course, the many projects that you do to bring truth out there. So tell us a little bit in Dear Mr. President, you really said some things that many other people did not say in that documentary, though we are all pretty much, 100% on board with what you said. You really said some things, and there are a couple of things right now that are of particular interest to being censored. And those things are part of your campaign, and I'd love to talk a little bit more about them. Can you tell me a little bit about one of your first and foremost passions in running for governor?
Absolutely. Exposing and ending child trafficking would be right there at the top. And then, of course, there's election fraud. Can't talk about that. That'll get you banned. And then the parasite controllers that pretty much have a medical tyranny that they hold over our heads. So when we fight on those aspects, all three of those are no-nos inside the social media news campaign, and it gets you targeted, and we're highly targeted, which it used to frustrate us. Now it's just a badge of honor. So we just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of any other candidate for any major office that's ever put on their platform child trafficking.
Right. I can't either. And it's isn't that sad? Because I can tell you in the United States, and California, it's the number one most profitable industry. The number one. But yet it's crickets across all politics. It's crickets across obviously the mainstream media, and you may get some podcasters here and there that talk about it. But I, it's scandalous the fact that it's not. The scourge is deep. It's the true pandemic, if we want to talk about it, is human and child trafficking. That's the real pandemic. The other one was a manipulation of our sovereignty and so on and so forth. But the real pandemic is definitely human and child trafficking.
Yeah, and we know that, even when President Trump, during his first term, that was one of the very first executive orders that he signed,
That's right.
and I think what is so incredible is that this is something, and then of course we can go down all those awful roads that lead and are within that awful, horrible. I mean, I don't even know the words to use, that are businesses within the child trafficking world
Absolutely.
and that are only now are starting to actually get out there. But is it a fair statement to say that one of the reasons this topic has not really come to the forefront or been able to is, in addition, right, to the censorship, which I want to get into, it's been a dangerous topic, and we've seen a lot of people who did have the bravery, the courage, and the drive to bring this to the forefront, come to some very interesting ends, drug overdoses or hangings or you name it, right? And what is it about this that you're fearful? Yeah, if you're fearless about getting out there with this, what is it that makes you have that sense of not caring what happens?
Well, for me, it's very, very simple. Is I look at life as a very short stint where we're earning our wings for eternity. So if let's just quantify eternity as 1 million years and our life on this planet is 100 years, if that's true, and that's my belief system, right? Then I need to do everything I can now to leave this place the best place we can for all the generations to come. And shame on me if I don't give it my best effort. So me being concerned about my health and welfare right now when there's kids that are being anally penetrated is ludicrous. It doesn't even compute in my mind. And I wish people would think just logically in that realm. The reality, if they saw a child being thrown into traffic, most people would jump and grab that child and prevent that from happening, right? So this is just something that's unseen. Therefore, they're afraid to work at it because it's going to affect them financially. I've talked to many officers, and they're afraid to lose their pension if they go too hard on this. I've talked to people that are afraid to lose their life, to be poisoned, and so on and so forth. No, we're done with it because if it's not me, then who? Somebody has to step up for the children and say, we're done. We're not going to put up with this anymore. So if I'm a conduit for that, great. What makes me very, very, very sad, though, Elisa, is your first statement. Nobody else is doing this from the political standpoint. And that's sickening. I'm not a hero. We don't need to talk about me being courageous. It's just common sense that when I can step up and more people could get behind us, because this is a we the people moment. This is not a Lewis Herms moment. This is a we the people moment where we all need to stand together and say, we're not going to take it anymore. The children will not be trafficked. They will not be raped. We will not have pedos that are hovering over schools and trying to get our children. We will not let them manipulate elections or poison our food, water, and our medicine anymore. We're done. It's pretty simple. And
Yeah.
we know when we, the people, historically stand up like that with that much power in our voice, and we're not going to back down, where we'll die on our feet instead of cower on our knees. We win historically every single time. So this is the time and moment to me. I think it's truly biblical.
Yeah, there's a couple of things from what you just said I just wanted to like kind of revisit. Number one, um, and it does at this point lead back to the censorship, because if you have average people, I mean, we've all had those, we're in a community for the most part, and the people that watch us and hopefully our followers are sort of on board, right? They know what's going on. They're sophisticated enough to understand that this is not just about, the guy down the street that looks weird and does something. This is a well orchestrated business, worldwide business
Mhm.
that has gone under the radar for most people. And so the average person, if we've all had those moments where we talk to them and you bring this up and they don't know how to respond because it sounds so crazy what we're trying to
Mhm.
explain is actually happening. So the reason that these people are not aware is, as will come full circle, it's because you're not allowed to talk about it and it's being censored.
Right.
So tell me some of I know you have such a plethora of projects and things that you've done and tours, but tell me a little bit, if you can, the journey, the censorship journey that you've encountered, in your fight to bring, again, not just child trafficking, which is really way up there, but like you said, the election fraud and the poisoning that we're all victims to in our food and water and everything else. How what's your story, with all this and the censorship?
So what brought me to do this is I was my wife's friend started showing us movies in 2020, and particularly Janet Osbart and Nick Albert were the two I was really watching these films and invested emotionally in this. And I've kind of been a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat wearing crazy person for geez,
Right.
probably
And,
40.
I've been telling everyone that I have on my show that we need to stop using conspiracy theorist, that term, which was created by the CIA so nobody would ask questions, and start calling ourselves pattern recognitionist,
Right.
because that's really what we are.
Well, what I was going to go to is I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy factualist. And that's what I am. So, and that brings me to my first film was called 2020 Vision. I started producing in June of 2020. And it was showing people that what you thought was once a conspiracy theory is now a fact. I showed them historically the Tuskegee experiment. I told them the Gulf of Tonkin, MK Ultra, things that people said, oh, these are crazy conspiracies. And like, no, and it's proven mainstream fact now.
Yeah.
So I said, so knowing this, maybe we just need to be a little bit open to the other things that are so-called conspiracies right now. And that's what the film was based on. Um, it got a lot of attention immediately, and then immediately, suddenly you saw on YouTube the views were going up, 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 and then boom, just capped. Nobody was seeing the film. And I said, huh, that was interesting. And then I produced another film on deuterium, which got zero play on mine, but thank goodness, and I say thank goodness, it was stolen over 30 times. It got well over 3 million views because other people put it on their channel, which is great, whatever it takes, right? Even though they covered up my logo and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. The word got out. In fact, I have a meeting about deuterium water today. So that was very impactful. So it went on, and then one day on YouTube, which I knew I was being highly censored on, we would get strikes and everything else. I cleared all my strikes. We were good, didn't have any strikes. I was a good boy according to them. And I posted a 15-second video that said, manifest your destiny. We the people won. They deleted my complete account. 15
Well,
second video.
let's
Manifest your destiny. We the people won. So clearly they didn't want that message out there.
no, because that is the biggest fear. For all these hundreds, thousands of years, we have been used because of the incredible power of our consciousness, of our collective power that we have. And they fooled us into living in fear and lack and all these things that vibrationally bring us down. And then we feel powerless and helpless, and we are able to use that power for their manifestation, whatever it is that
Exactly.
they want. And that's why it's so scary, to think that so many of us, regardless of religion, color, background, national origin, we are all realizing that we are the answer, right? To get these messages out and to unite and to use that to raise the vibration and to, heal, heal and take care of our children. Question. So you started getting censored. You started with, being very inspired because you had seen two amazing films. If anybody out there still has not seen them, which I can't imagine, Fall of the Cabal is what you're talking about, and also Nick Alvier's, I think the greatest show on earth.
Oh,
Is
that
that
was what, no, that was well after.
that was after?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it was,
Okay.
I don't remember which one it was, but he had several good films out that were
Yeah.
exposing things.
Very talented filmmaker. So, this is happening to you now. Of course, simultaneously, right? Everybody's got their story of what's happening and how they're getting kicked off and they're losing their content and all this. And what did you like? What happened after that? Because I think what happened next, you started taking to the streets.
Well, yeah, what happened actually is then there was the Great Purge, if anybody remembers. And I was actually, ironically, I was on the phone with Nick Alvera when it happened. And he's like, I just lost my account. I said, well, mine's up. And then Michael Jaco texted me, up, my account's down. And other people were texting me, accounts down, accounts down. And mine stayed up, which is really weird. Because this was the account that was deleted. By the way, I did a legal appeal and got them to put the account back up because it was so ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
That so they put it back up. And then mine stayed up, which we all thought was pretty weird. But then shortly after that, the day I hit 1 million views and 25,000 followers, the exact same day, they deleted the whole account. It was gone. So that was something they already had clearly tagged on my account. And then we went through all this stuff. I've gone through 7 TikTok channels, multiple X channels, blah blah blah. We've all gone through this. But what happened is we said, okay, how can we make a difference? And I said, you know what? We have a big Screw Big Gov family because that was my platform, is screwbiggov.com. I said, we have a big Screw Big Gov family. Let me put out there on Telegram, hey, would anybody like to meet up? Yeah, that'd be fun. Where would you like to meet up? We all agreed on Tampa being the best place. So here's the censorship goes in. So we booked a place by I believe it was the Marriott. We booked the place. We had a sealed deal, everything, and then they wouldn't get us back to us for me to sign the contract. They wouldn't get the contract back to us. We started organizing people to be there, the whole deal, and then they finally sent the contract back, and it was exactly double in area that we agreed upon. So I called them and I said, what is going on? This is not anything that we agreed upon. I have all your emails here. They go, it was a managerial decision. And he said, this is what you have to pay. So clearly they're trying to push us out.
Yeah.
So we canceled that event. I wasn't going to play that game. And I said, God, what's going on here? And the message I got was very poignant. It was, Lewis, don't expect people to come to you. You need to go to them right now.
Mm,
So that was the culmination of the Truth Tour. And, 117 stops later, we went all around the country 3 times, up and down and around 3 full times. And that was the Truth Tour because we had to get the message out to the people because clearly we weren't getting it out through social media.
right. Right. So you took matters into your own hands. And, I'm just feeling this question, and forgive me if it's too forward, but there are so many people out there that don't know how to get into the fight. They start learning, they start awakening, but they don't have the funds. How are you able to do that? I mean, do you just have millions lying around, how did you do that? Because so many people and that's part of that's by design, right? So,
Right.
we don't have money, we can't do the things and be creative and help one another. How did you do that?
My wife and I went severely in the hole, almost bankrupted us.
Wow.
But it was worth it. We
Yeah.
met some incredible people. We got the word out. It was just the thing we're supposed to do. And in fact, I had a business at the time that had a valuation of about $2.5 million. With Truth Tour One, we were just about ready to put it up for sale and finally get some money out of that because that was a whole cabal thing too. We fought lawfare and lost so much time and money with that business, but we won. So the business was still standing. The reality of the valuation at 2.5, it probably would have sold for half of that, maybe 1.5. And we were finally after a dozen years of working in systems and doing everything, finally we're going to be able to cash in or at least pay our monthly bills, no problem. And I went on the Truth Tour. And then after coming back the first one, the business was virtually unsellable for some reason. And so we lost a $2.5 million business on top of that. And I don't know how or why, but my wife stayed with me through all of this
Well,
because
she believes
her,
in what you're doing. I mean, it's you both have this passion, so it doesn't surprise me.
yep, it was about the children, all about the kids. And that's what ultimately we're fighting for because we can't leave all the generations to come dealing in the mess we're getting at. I mean, if people are just paying attention to what's going on in California with Gavin Newsom and all the crazy bills, and now that they can legally steal your child right out of school, according to the bill he just signed yesterday, and force vaccinate that child. That's what people should know about this bill, SB 495. They're not looking at it. They not only can take you out, they get medical authority over your child so they can force vaccinate your child too. And they don't even have to know the parent. And it's that I wish more people were paying attention because I think that's the real motivation of this bill. I don't think its motivation is child trafficking. I think the motivation is to force vaccinate our children. So these are crazy, crazy stuff going on in California, and we have to stay in the fight. And because we can't leave this to our children. We have 7 children, and they don't all agree, but we still, as you know, I'm sure you do this, we're fighting for the people that hate us currently.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
it
We're
is
fighting
interesting.
for them.
Well, we all came here with a mission, and hearing your story, that mission, like it was tunnel visioned, no pun. But it was for you to just see where you needed to go, and together with your wife, just like you weren't, nothing was gonna, get you off that track. And somehow when things happen like that, you have to know that it's a mission that you came to Earth for. I mean, that's the way I view it. You don't just wake up one day, it's something far deeper. Um, so, all right. What would be, so if you don't mind, can we share screen? I'd love to just show the trailer because, for anybody who
Sure.
hasn't seen Dear Mr. President, just a little bit about the movie, this was the vision and the passion of Mel Carmine, being a podcaster for all these years, with his own story, not only of being censored with big tech, and on the internet, but also with a healing business that he had where he was unable to get his message out and try to help people. So this actually, we had a conversation on a podcast one day about, gee, wouldn't it be great to write a letter to President Trump and say, hey, you gotta free up the microphones. You have to let the words get out there and the messages get out there. And then from there, he just wrote and directed this incredible film, which is educational, obviously, but it's also a call to action. People, listen, I'm also in the business community as a coach, and so I'm dealing with a lot of business people, and the level of which these are smart people, they're educated people, they're good people, they do good things in their own world, in their own life. They don't even know that Rumble exists. They
Mhm.
don't even know,
True.
like, if you
True.
start at like just the basis, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even know the outlets to go to where maybe they can hear certain things. So when you start talking about the rabbit holes that we've all gone down, right, that we're trying to bring the word out about, they it's cognitive dissonance. I mean, they just can't believe when you start telling them the stories of what goes on with our children. And unfortunately, whether you can handle it or not, people have to know this. This is a very, very big pill that people are going to have to swallow, because if we're going to bring an end to it, we need to talk about it and it needs to be out there. So, yeah, I'd love to just show the trailer and then we'll get back to the
Yep. So
conversation.
for some reason, it's not letting you share screen, but I found your Rumble channel with the trailer. So I'll play it on my side
Oh,
for you.
perfect. Okay.
Let me see if I can get this set up for you. I got to make sure I get the sound on when I share. Give me just a second here.
We're not getting the money.
Dear Mr. President.
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 Dear Mr. President, when did freedom of speech become a crime? In the land of the free, voices are vanishing, opinions are policed, truth is under fire. They say it's about safety, I say it's about silence. Who's watching the Watchmen? Who's filtering your feed? Who benefits from your silence? From the classroom to the newsroom, from Silicon Valley to Washington, D.C., who decides what you can say?
Censorship.
Censorship. Censorship.
The censorship.
Censorship. It's a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years.
Our First Amendment is under assault, not just by big tech, but by government agencies. Voices are being silenced.
A world without censorship would mean we can freely expose the elections and, of course, child trafficking. I believe the American spirit would kick in if they had access to the real information.
We've had channels taken down from nearly every form of social media. We knew when you uttered the term fake news that you were up to something different. We're honored to contribute to this documentary on censorship.
I have only one thing to ask. I just only want to see some accountability from somebody. Just pull that pin and throw that grenade already, buddy. That's all every American wants to see, is just some accountability for the crimes against us all. Thank you, sir, and long live the Republic.
Thanks, Lewis, for showing that. So,
Sure.
what everyone should know now, and of course you do, this movie's free. We're not charging for it. You can download it to put anywhere you want on your own sites, on your own social media. You can share it. You can show it with, your groups and organizations. And now it's available in French, Spanish, German, Russian, Cantonese, Mandarin. Did I leave one out? I must have left one out. Anyway, we've got tons of languages that it's now been translated into, so there's no excuse for us to send it to different communities and, people overseas. So what was it to you that made you feel that you wanted to be a part of this documentary?
It's a no-brainer. I mean, and Mr. President, President Trump needs to pay attention to this. And I believe this is actually can be the number one issue because if there wasn't censorship, again, then everybody would know about child trafficking. If there wasn't censorship, they would know about election fraud. They would know about the parasite controllers that control big pharma. They would understand what exactly is going on. So it's huge. Censorship and the First Amendment was so important that they wrote the Second Amendment to protect it.
Absolutely.
And we cannot forget how important it was. And the founding fathers knew exactly what they were dealing with.
Yeah. And with this, with the internet, we have just opened things up that much more, which with algorithms and all these other um, technologies, it's so much easier to pull someone down or, make
Right.
sure that that message isn't getting out there. What would you say, like, if you had to give a call to action to people that are in not only your state but just anywhere in the world, what can the average person do? What, we've both got audiences, we both have people that are committed to, the underlying causes, right? Freedom of speech, saving the children, making us have fair elections and having um, safe and healthy food. So what is the average? Because it's very, people can get very, very dejected. Like, what am I going to do? This
Mhm.
guy's getting censored and he knows everyone, and this person it just got killed. What can they do?
Well, here's what I discovered recently, and we're kind of excited about this. In fact, I'm asking people that are involved in our campaign to focus on this, that a person with 0 followers is just as powerful with a person with 1 million followers when they comment. So when you comment in a section, the algorithms treat those comments evenly. So they don't weigh the comment of somebody that comments with 1 million higher. Now, the million may get more views because people are reading their comments, but you have just as much value there. And that helps push things up into the zeitgeist. So if you see something that's very, very important and you want people to know about it, that clicking the heart is fine, clicking the thumbs up is fine. Very powerful when you just do a little comment on that, whatever it is. You suddenly have power because now you're affecting the algorithms and it helps push that information out more because I believe we're even still censored on X. It is what it is. I'm shadow banned on X. I know it. But there are ways to work within the algorithms. I used to say, let's fight against the algorithms, but let's work with them so we understand the way they work. A comment is huge, huge. So all of your stuff, at least if they're watching, and Mel's stuff and anything on Mr. President, guys, just go in there and comment. Just a quick comment. You'd be surprised how powerful it is, and it starts to push it up where the algorithms, whatever they have suppression in there, the mechanism is hard to push it down because it's now working with inside their bots, let's say.
That's a great point. That really is a great point, right? You're doing something really important by commenting. And then I guess the obvious is also to share, to
Of course.
if they're censoring or they're taking down, as long as it's up there, as long as it's there, share it if it's a message that resonates with you, to get it out there. And once you can't unknow things, because once you light that little fire under people, maybe that's going to be the thing to say, hey, let me go down this road a little bit. What tell us a little bit about the campaign, what you're up to, how you're approaching it. Tell us what's happening.
Well, we're excited. We just did a small tour, just did a few cities, like a dozen cities, over 2 weeks, all throughout California, because we kind of wanted to get to know the people and ask them, what can we do? So we learned some things about Paradise, where the fires were. We're going to expose that. We learned some things about other agriculture in Fresno that we didn't know about, because we really want to do the best for we the people. So the campaign kicked off doing that. It was fabulous. We learned a lot, and now we have a massive, big rally. Lisa, Mel, join us there. We have a huge rally November 8th, and it's right before the debate. And I'll be on the debate stage that evening. So we'll have the rally in the morning, and then we'll have the debate that evening. The rally is free. It's going to be like a President Trump rally. We're going to have over 1,000 people there. It's fantastic. It's in San Ramon, California. And I would wish everybody can come to that rally, because then you could really see, you're going to see the people that are supporting us. We have dozens and dozens of the podcasters that we know that are going to be there. Very, very famous people are going to be there in support of this campaign. This is like a massive deal. And you guys can just go to my website, hermsforcali.com, click on events, RSVP. It's absolutely free. We'll put you through a security check, though, when you get there, because we need security. It is what it is at this point.
Mhm.
And then there'll be an opportunity, if you want to buy tickets for the debate later, you can buy those on my website also. And then get a bunch of people in debate, because the last thing they think is an independent can win this. And I am independent because we don't trust the GOP party in California. But I'm up against 11 other Republicans on the debate stage. So this is going to be fireworks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. And, I would also, it's really interesting. 'Cause as you were talking, it's going through my head how you're going to have all these podcasters there, and you're going to have people. And it's like we see the tide completely turning into who the new media is,
Exactly.
and who's going to be getting this out there. So I would just encourage the podcasters that are already out there to please, you're going to live stream, make sure everybody knows, because there are people that aren't going to be able to get out there that are going to be very interested in your campaign, that are not from California, because of the platforms that you're on, and because of their knowledge of you just being in the truth community and fighting against all these nefarious groups and agendas. Any last comments that you have? This has been such a joy, and I'm so honored that we had this chance to chat. We are so proud of you, just being from the truther community and following you. And now, you're putting your money where your mouth is, literally in the platforms that you're putting on. And I want to mention to you, when you talk about the trafficking issue, we just had the New York Awakening Summit here in New York. It was the first one. It was organized by Donna Ferrara and myself, just two people, and just to start getting people, because New York is a very tough area, and subjects like these aren't even like known, but we had a really great turnout. We're hoping it's going to be the first of many, that we have more and more. We had great speakers. We had Laura Eisenhower and Kerry Cassidy, and we had Mike Barra and Brad Olson and Rock Castaldo and Heather Holmes. So we didn't have a lot of speakers, but these people were taught, health and the trafficking and the corruption. So, it's also a call that to get around the censorship, like you just did and you just expressed. Sometimes we need to just look in our small community, right? And say, okay, I can't rent a bus and I can't go over the country, but I could certainly rent out a space and get some people together that are knowledgeable, and bring other people in and educate, and just bring that energy together, that healing energy. So, yeah, any last comments or thoughts you'd like to add before we end?
Well, I think people need to know that I would like them to eliminate a word from their vocabulary, and that's can't, because we can. We absolutely can. So what we pride ourselves on with our campaign is, if there's an issue, we turn it into a challenge, and when there's a challenge, we know it could have a solution. So we bring it into a solution-based mindset. If we keep thinking about what's the solution, instead of stepping into that fear that that luge that the baddies want us to completely put out and bring ourselves into our highest vibration, knowing that there's a solution. Our minds start to develop the solution, and we think out of the box and create different ideas. I mean, one of our biggest campaigns ever is we had a wake up call to send people to a website with post-its, and tens and hundreds of thousands of post-its were all over the nation that were sending people to our website because we knew that would get around the censorship. It was beautiful. So there's always a solution, guys. Just know that we, the people, have all the power. We just have to grab it.
Yeah, beautifully said. Really beautiful. Well, we wish you luck. If we can't get to your rally on November 8th, we're certainly going to tune in. Do you have anything at this point of where it might be live streamed so people can put a note of, make a note of that?
We probably won't live stream it. What we're looking to do is get the news media out there. I'm trying to work with them as we speak. Then they're not responding as usual. But if, it's going to be, we're going to shame them, because the reality is if they find out that they missed an event where there's 1,000 people at, it's going to be a black eye on them. So at least some of the conservative media should get out there and be there. So we'll let everybody know. But for now, we want as many people at the rally personally, and then we'll send video clips if for those that have missed it.
Absolutely. And again, it's hermsforcali.com, correct?
Herms for HERMSCFORCALI.com. Hermsforcali.com. Not Hermes. I'm the farthest thing from a god, so no. Hermsforcali.com.
Well, thanks again. And again, it was an honor, and we're so blessed that you were part of Dear Mr. President. And I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.